What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Hops Geek News, a podcast that talks about comic books, movies, TV shows, and we often feature a beer of the week. I am Matt. With me, as always, is Lauren. We have two special guests with us today. I always call them, hey, what's up, everybody? And welcome back to another episode of Hops Geek News, a podcast that talks about comic books, movies, TV shows, and we always, typically, sometimes have a beer of the week. We forgot what I was going to say. Hold on. My name is Matt. Alongside me is Lauren. And if this is your first time joining the show, welcome aboard. I hope you stick around. Feel free to subscribe at Hops Geek News on any social media platform. Please give us a 5-star review if we deserve it. Drop a subscribe, follow, all that good stuff on the podcasting platforms by searching Hops Geek News. And then if you want to support the show, patreon.com/hopsgeeknews. That everything that comes into the show, we put back into it as far as going to Comic Cons and beer for the show, comic books, things to talk about, all of that, stickers. We put everything back into the show, go straight into it because we love what we do and we will make a better product for everybody who may be listening. That said, we have a good episode today. We are going to be talking about The Mandalorian Season 3. And if you're new to the show, we always start with what we're drinking. We roll into some things that we messed up on the week previously. And then we go into what we've been reading or watching, followed up with some news before our main topic. So with that said, what am I drinking this week? In honor of Star Wars, I am drinking She Shot First from Bottle Logic Brewing. It is a tropical hazy IPA that comes from Bottle Logic Brewing out of Anaheim, California. It is a tropical ale with pineapple and passion fruit, coming in at 6.4%. It pairs well with a chicken sandwich as well. That's something I love about Bottle Logic, because they always put on there. And then it just looks nice, tasty, refreshing, good old. I love pineapple. That's my favorite flavor. So that's what I'm drinking. Lauren, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking a beer you sent me, New Englander's Vacation Pale Ale.
Yeah.
So, funny enough, we're both drinking beers that we sent each other that we drank on previous podcasts.
Crazy. I love that one. That's a really good one. Trillium
This
Brewing
is
is one
really
of my
good.
favorite spots. Yes,
And I have it in
delicious.
my Mando Grogu glass, which I've had since season one, which I feel like is more relevant now than it's ever been.
Ooh,
This
yes,
is the
that is
way.
true. This is the way of drinking
It's
beer.
from glass to mouth.
Absolutely. So, like I said, we like to roll into what we're messed up on the week before. So, Lauren, what did we mess up on the previous week? Or what are we fixing from the previous week? Because we don't always mess up.
So some of them I said I was going to do. I think this was a few episodes back. I said I was going to do some research in Galaxy's Edge and find out if you could actually buy credits and use said credits in Batu at Galaxy's Edge. So here is the deal. If you go to the droid store at Galaxy's Edge, and I've only done research at Batu East, which is Walt Disney World, I haven't done it in Batu West, which is Disneyland. Go to the droid store and you can buy a little thing, and I will post a little video or picture something by the time this comes out to show you. It's a little metal thing and it looks like credits. All it is a gift card. The little metal thing costs $5, so you do have to pay five. It's kind of like when you get a Visa credit card, you have to pay for the actual credit or gift card.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and the minimum you could put on it is $100. So at first I was like, well, I don't need to do that. I buy my gift cards at Target and I save $5. It doesn't cost me $5,
Red
but I was
card,
like, you
baby.
know what? Fuck it, I'm gonna do it because we're gonna. And I asked, a lot of the cast members didn't fully know. I asked, I go, can I only use it in Batu? She's like, I'm not sure. So we left Batu, which is the Galaxy's Edge area, went to a regular store on Main Street, and it worked. So
Oh,
that's on the Main Street at Hollywood Studios, not at Magic
right.
Kingdom. So I'm assuming it's just a gift card that works everywhere. But I figured, over the course of time, I mean, if you're a pass holder, gift card is like cash. So, but I'm terrified of losing it though, because it is a little bit heavy.
Is it? Oh, man, I can't wait. Is it
Because it's
like,
like a little piece of metal. But I mean, it
right?
is kind of cool though that essentially you can just have your credits scanned in Batu and have
It
them
makes
pay
you
for
feel like you're
stuff.
actually in the universe. That's kind of dope.
Yeah. So like I didn't want to use it outside of Batu, but I was, testing it to see if it worked. And I asked the cast member beforehand and she goes, I don't know. Let's see. And I had to like pull it out of this plastic
We're
thing
gonna
and it comes
find
in a
out
card.
together.
And then, she's like, oh, there's a barcode. And she just scanned it. I think a lot of people just aren't aware of what it
That's
is.
I don't
Yeah.
never seen that advertised before, which is interesting. You would think that's
Right.
something they advertise to kind of immerse you a little bit more, but
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they do in like the Galactic Cruiser. But I asked, I forget where I was. I think I was in Tatooine Traders, which is the gift shop when you leave Star Tours, which is not in Galaxy's Edge, that's been there for years. And I go, where do you buy the Star Wars credits? And she kind of looked at me and then she goes, oh, well, there's two kind. You can buy ones that are literally just you're bringing it home as a souvenir, and then you can buy ones that you can use in the area. So the ones you could use in the area is where is the Droid Depot.
Huh.
So I said I would do my homework. I did my homework. Another thing, this is not a mess up. So I was randomly looking. I stupidly have a few friends from high school that I think like I'll get them into Star Wars and Marvel. Yeah, that's not gonna happen. But Freddie Prinze Jr. was very popular in the late 90s, early 2000s when I was in high school. So I was like, hey,
Yes.
Freddie Prinze Jr. voices a character in Rebels, and crickets. And I don't
You're
know
like,
how
what?
we ended up going down a rabbit hole of like I looked up Scooby Natural because to see if Freddie Prinze Jr. voiced Fred in Scooby Natural. He doesn't, but I did find that there is another character. D. Bradley Baker voices one of the characters in the Scooby Natural episode, and he also voices all of the clone troopers, including
He
Captain
does,
Rex
yes.
and Morris from Shang-Chi and the Frog Lady and the Frog Man and Mando. So that was a fun little supernatural crossover that I kind of fell down. I just
That
wanted
is
to
pretty
share that.
awesome. He's awesome. Yeah, he does the work of millions. And I saw him at Seattle Comic Con, and he's been doing a lot of Comic Con press
Oh,
with
nice.
Matt Lanter and all of the Clone Wars voice casts, like
Oh,
Ashley Eckstein, all of them. And so that's really cool to see them all get together and do a panel together and just revisit those good days because voice actors don't get it like unless you're super popular famous like Ashley Eckstein who voices Ahsoka, you don't really get the proper credit
but
more
I feel
often
like
than not.
she's marketed herself to get there.
Agreed. You definitely
Like
have to
she
market
just has
yourself
the
for
her
sure.
universe line, and like living in Orlando, she's constantly at Disney. She just did a whole thing. Disney's like celebrating right now halfway to Halloween. She just did a whole haunted mansion
I know
thing.
we were looking at going for Halloween.
Oh my god, I okay. I love Disney at Christmas time. Epcot's probably my favorite at
I
Christmas time,
haven't
and
done
Hollywood
Disney at
Studios.
Christmas. We started Disneyland at Halloween last year, so we kind of we're on the fence between the two.
So Hollywood Studios is also amazing at Christmas time because it's a lot of old school stuff. But if you're comparing Mickey's Not So Scary with Mickey's Very Merry, Mickey's Not So
Yeah,
Scary is better.
that's true. Interesting. Okay. Well, good to
And you
know.
can go to Horror Nights
That's true. Mm.
and
And
just leave the kids with Kaylee, and we can all go to Horror Nights.
discussions will be had. So let's roll into what we've been reading or watching, and we're gonna get to Mando. So we've both been watching that, obviously. But I've been watching Ted Lasso week to week.
Still haven't.
It doesn't feel like a final season to me. I'm sure it will by the time it wraps up. But man, if men will literally watch Ted Lasso instead of go to therapy, and that is 100% true because this show is like therapy to me. The relationships that we see in this show, and just the way they handle mental health and the way they handle personal issues, and it's just it's so
Healthy.
freaking good and real because we hand wave a lot of crap in TV shows and we just move on from traumatic experiences and all that kind of stuff. This show brings it to the forefront. Panic attacks that Ted has, Ted's, you know, ex-wife-ish, there's things going on there, and they brought in bullying even, and then there's just other things, and then the relationship that we're seeing blossom between Jamie and Roy Kent, it's beautiful. It's
Mm.
so pure. This show is one of my favorite things on television just because the writing is so genius, the characters, everybody are it's well done, and it's something that I really hope everybody, if you're not watching, I don't know why, because it's one of the more popular, but just watch it. It's on Apple TV. I know you got all that stuff, but while you're there, go
I,
watch Shrinking because you've
Apple
heard me talk
TV is
about
one of the
Shrinking.
cheapest
It's
subscriptions.
like $1.99. So do it when season 3 wraps up and then binge the entire series because you're not going to regret it. It's I'm going to go back and watch it again, and it's up there with like How I Met Your Mother. It's like a comfort series for me. I know people have thoughts about that, and
Oh, because the
I would
ending was terrible.
right the last season regard, but I would say Ted Lasso is up there as far as comfort shows that I would rewatch when I need something that just really helps my spirit, and
That's
that's
supernatural for me.
it. Yeah, and so other than that though, I've been reading. I read the Guardians of the Galaxy issue 1 from our future guests that we talked to, Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly. I've been reading Something is Killing the Children. I read a couple other good comics like Darth Vader. Been reading those, so I've been reading a lot of good things. Darth Vader still crushing it. This Guardians of the Galaxy comic, I want to plug real quick because not only because we talked to the writers,
No,
but
because it's good.
it's legitimately good. I've been critical of the Guardians movies, not my favorite, and they're not my favorite characters. I love the video game that came out, and this comic book's great. It's a western, and there's a lot of different personalities, but they still feel like they capture the essence and the heart of the team that you're getting. And so I really enjoyed it. I think that you should go to your local comic book shop. You should pick it up. You should read it and enjoy it. And the next issue comes out in May. It just started. Just started. This
Oh,
is
look
the
like
first
Cad
issue.
Bane.
It
Star
does
Lord
look.
looks
It
like
does.
Cad
Star
Bane
Lord
to me
does
on the
definitely looks like
cover.
Cad Bane, and it's a great comic book. I definitely think that. I also read Captain America: Cold War Part One, which I talked about on our TikTok. So go there and check my review out there. Hopsgeeknews, shameless plug on TikTok. And that's what I've been reading. That's what I've been watching. What have you been diving into?
Not too much outside of Mando. I'm catching up on some Better Call Saul. The latest season has just dropped. It is getting so good, and it's making me just want to put on Breaking Bad as soon as I finish this. There was one character that I was certain was from Breaking Bad, and I knew him beforehand, and I thought he's good. He won't die. Well, that wasn't what happened. He died. Apparently, I remember that
Ooh,
incorrectly. And I was really like, I really like this character. And I'm like, he's solid. It's like when you watch like the horror movies or whatever, and you're like, they can't kill this person, and it gives you like peace of mind. My
and then they
peace of
suddenly
mind
die.
was yeah, shot to
Shattered.
hell, pun intended. And the only other thing I've watched this week is, so I spent the weekend in a hotel with a bunch of friends from high school, and we would like, put on random shit when we were going to bed, and we watched Golden Girls. Have you
Oh,
ever watched
really?
Golden Girls?
I, honest to God, haven't really. No, I
We
haven't.
fell down a fucking rabbit hole. We had no idea this show was shot and filmed in Miami, and we all grew up in Fort Lauderdale. And then we started Googling their ages, which was a terrible idea. How old do you think the youngest Golden Girl is in the
Like
show?
in the show,
Yeah,
like
during the
at
show. Not now. Now they're all dead. In the show,
39.
when they were filming. You think the youngest one was 39? I'm 39. You think the
That's
youngest
why I
Golden
picked
Girl
it
was
because I
my
have no
age?
idea. I don't know. I don't know anything about the Golden Girls. I have no. That's why I picked it. I don't know.
So Blanche was 47. And so I looked at my friend who's going to be 40 next month, and I'm like, she's only 6 years
Woof.
older than you. And she goes, wow, that was really mean. And I got to say, man, they are all about the sex in
Wait,
Golden Girls.
at 47, ma'am, you're gonna pull a hip.
47's not that
I thought
old.
the Golden Girls was all about singing and dancing.
I thought that they were old. And I do remember when Sex in the City came back, somebody being like, oh, they're the same age as the
Talk to
Sex
me
in
in
the City
like 10
characters. And I'm like,
years when I'm
bullshit.
calling 47 right now like old, but it's really not because like
Yeah. And
40
let's
isn't old
clarify,
anymore
I'm
either.
8 years older than Matt. So him saying 10 years older is only 2 years older than me.
But what I'm saying is like
But that was
even
fun.
now people the view on age is different, right? Because when we were younger, when you look at somebody who's 40 years old, you're like, whoa, wolf, time hasn't been good to them. But now it's you're looking at these people who are 40. It's like 40 is the new 30, man. Everybody looks young. You're still doing things. You're hopefully fit in some cases, or maybe you just haven't
Rich
taken care of
50 is the
yourself.
new 37 lemon.
Yeah,
That's from 30
like
Rock.
we're all looking for rich
I think it was the
middle-aged
hair.
women.
Oh, and they all wore shoulder pads.
Yeah, it was the outfits, that and like skincare
Oh, and the
routines weren't a
hair.
thing, and everybody's kind of going healthier now too, and
Maybe that's what it is.
cigarettes were a thing, and
Oh,
smoking
cigarettes were
ages
big.
you substantially. It does.
They
So
did
there's
have
a
a
bunch
lot
of
of sex.
factors when
We
you just look
also
at people. So
we also had on Ace Ventura one morning when we were all just like drinking in the hotel room and getting ready, and like that movie did not age well at all.
we had that discussion obviously
No.
about American Pie today. So
Yeah.
yeah, we know those didn't age well, but guess what? I love them,
But
and
laces
I
out.
still will defend them to a degree.
I think the thing that didn't age, or the thing that aged the worst in Ace Ventura, is the Dolphins being in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. This beer is really good,
Right.
by the way. I'm really
So
enjoying this
is
beer.
this one.
This beer, like, is very juicy. It's got a lot of flavor. So I'm really enjoying She Shot First, Bottle Logic Brewing again, Anaheim, California. Man, when the mission went to hell, Eve didn't take chances. Good beer. Just throwing it out there. Anyways, continue. What did you
I
been
think
up
I'm
to?
done.
That was it. All right. Well, let's roll into some news. We got some news to go through. Starting with Louis Leterrier is set to direct Fast and Furious 11 because family. That is honestly expected to be the last film in the franchise. Family's forever. You're never going to end this. And there was a new trailer for this film that came out this week. It looks absolutely insanely ridiculous.
Do you
Bonkers.
really think it's the last one?
Oh, yeah, for at least 5 years until they reboot the franchise.
Okay, at least for 5 years. Okay.
Yeah. But you have Jason Momoa dropping a bomb on the Vatican. The whole trailer is Jason Momoa with his arms open in this like biker leather jacket. And then, of course, they talk about family 6 times. John Cena, who was once the villain, because if you're the villain in Fast and Furious, the next movie, you're naturally the good guy. So the next movie,
Oh.
Jason Momoa is probably going to be the good guy. Uh, Brie Larson's apparently in this movie, which I don't even know if Brie Larson remembers being in this movie because I don't see her at all in the trailers, but she's
I think I
marketed.
actually saw her. What is it? Charlize Theron in it too?
Charlize Theron is still in the movie. She's still the bad guy. She's been the bad guy for a while. I don't know what we're building
Oh.
to, but I don't care because my butt is in seat day one. Day one, I am in seat, loving life as I'm watching the Fast and Furious franchise on the big screen, IMAX yet again. I'm going all out. Just gonna I'm gonna whip my Chevy Traverse right up there to that movie theater, rev that engine, and sit my ass in the seat, and I'm going to be there. Anyways, moving on. Scarlet Scarab, who was originally debuted in Marvel's Moon Knight. Well, guess what? She's going to be the first original MCU superhero that will debut in comic books. She was based on 2 different comic book characters. Future guest David Pepose is going to be writing her in this short issue. So
Oh shit.
definitely check that out. Can't wait to talk about
Loved
this
her in the
a
show.
little bit. Yeah, with him. And yeah, we kind of talked about her when we talked with the assistant to the director of Moon Knight. And that's an episode you got to check out for sure. So if you want to go deeper, go ahead and go to comicbookreporter.com, I think is what it is. And or just, you know what? Go
Because she
to
was based on 2 other comic book characters, so they kind of
right.
created their own character from these other ones. So I had found an article deep diving that and what they took from those other characters with Moon Knight's love interest and this and that. And there is a character called Scarlet Scarab in the comics, but this was still
Yes.
a creation of MCU's.
Yes. Go check out David Papose's Twitter, and that's where you can find more information on this. So I will link that as well. HBO Max has announced one of the more boneheaded decisions that I've seen in a while from a company. Like they're running a clinic on how to not run companies.
This is the dumbest shit ever.
They're dropping
Dumbest shit
HBO.
ever.
It will now just be Max. And on May 23rd, this will roll out. When this was announced, their stock fell like 6% or something. I don't understand. I don't
I
truthfully
don't
get
get it
what they're
either. Do
doing
they
over
just think
there.
like the next generation is going to be like it's to the mat? I
It's
mean, what is HBO? Home box office or something?
HBO Max is literally like the words, the letters HBO is one of the most marketable, well known
Right. But it means like
things.
home box office, right? Like I feel like that's
Something,
still
yeah.
relevant. It's not like it's like a VHS or something.
Why are you fixing something that is not broken? It doesn't make sense. And it just comes to how out of touch these corporate heads are. They just, I don't get it.
Yeah.
Somebody gets a
Home
good
box office.
idea and then they're just stupid. It's dumb. No, it's just dumb. So this idea is dumb. I don't understand it. HBO Max is something that like there's a lot of good stuff on there, but they self
Right. I mean,
sabotage, man. I don't know.
the only thing I could think that because like as a kid growing up, like HBO was the movies. Like before the movies, you could rent them at Blockbuster. They
I
were on
remember
HBO
something
or
on
something like
HBO,
that.
all right.
Well, yeah, after 10 years, naked girls rollerblading. And if you were at a friend's house and they had the box, you could catch a
They
freeze frame here and
rollerbladed?
there.
Wow, that was a different
Oh,
movie than
yeah.
I was watching.
This was the 90s. There's a lot of
It was the
rollerblading.
90s, man.
um, but I do understand as far as box office, okay, they do a lot of TV shows now, but
They do.
still, I feel like
Some of the
they
biggest
don't.
TV shows that have ever been made.
Yeah,
Succession,
so
Game of
I could,
Thrones,
well, Sopranos, Sex in the City.
Sopranos, Sex.
Yeah,
They're one of the most well known. I don't get it.
it's funny. It's like every time I hear the I always think of a different
Uh,
song than the show I'm about to watch. Like all of a sudden I hear woke up this morning.
everybody
But
knows.
I don't think that they need, obviously, it's not home box office if you're watching TV shows, but I feel like the acronym is not embedded in the movie industry. And so they don't need to rebrand. This is dumb.
It's dumb. It's dumb.
I don't know why we keep talking about it.
It's
We've
dumb.
made it clear how
So
we feel.
off our soapbox, moving on, Ted Lasso's Juno Temple, who plays Kile. She has landed a lead role in Venom 3, the movie that nobody asked for, but we're getting anyways, which reminds me,
because we all still saw the second one.
May 23rd, we are getting the Spider-Man films are all Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield. Everybody's coming to Disney Plus on May 23rd.
And so there's some of them were already on there. So as of right now, Tobey's Spider-Man, all 3 are already out. And Andrew Garfield's Amazing Spider-Man is out too. Spider-Man Homecoming comes out May 12th, and then Venom is May 12th.
I didn't mean to take your news, but there it is.
No, that's fine. We still do not have Garfield 2 Far From Home or No Way Home, but we're hoping they're not far behind. I'm sure there's contracts still with stars and whatnot. For a second,
I was like, Garfield 2? What does that have to do with Spider-Man?
They both like lasagna.
I was very confused. I was like, what are you talking about, Garfield? No, I know what you mean now. Andrew Garfield.
He doesn't like Mondays.
That's true. So yes, blessed be, we're getting those movies on Disney Plus. You know, for better for worse, with Venom, we're getting a third one. And you know, there's somebody's guilty pleasure, like one of our former guests. I love him dearly, but good sir. Anyways, we all have those things. I love Batman v Superman. I can't talk. Moving on, they are going, speaking of things that HBO Max continuously doesn't make sense, Harry Potter. They're going to be rebooting it into a television series that follows the books. Why are we rebooting something that doesn't need rebooting already? I think there's so much story.
Don't they follow the books? I mean, I only read the first book, and it followed the first movie to a fucking T.
They change.
Outside of the dragon eggs, it was pretty consistent.
They change a lot, especially in the third one. But however, there's so much lore behind Harry Potter that you don't need to reboot the series.
I don't get it at all, and it's too soon to reboot.
Man,
I mean,
J.K. Rowling sucks so bad, so it sucks because I want to love Harry Potter, but I also feel bad liking the IP because J.K. Rowling.
I feel like every Potter, not every Potterhead, but a lot of Potterheads feel that way. I fortunately don't like Harry Potter, so I'm fine.
It doesn't make sense to do. There's so much that they could do with Harry Potter, the franchise, that rebooting it doesn't make sense in this context. And something that I'm actually excited for, we are getting a Godzilla versus Kong March 15th, 2024. It's not versus Godzilla and Kong. They're teaming up to fight another enemy. In the teaser trailer, that was not King Kong on the throne, so I don't know who it was. I'm not well versed in my lore, but the movie drops on March 15th, 2024. And my last bit of news, the heavy rumor is that Adam Driver is in final discussions to star as Reed Richards. I know I said this was my final news. However, my final news is that there is a lot of allegations and other things going on with Jonathan Majors right now. He's been dropped in multiple ads, multiple movies. He's been dropped by one of his agencies, and more victims have come out to say that he had abused them. And so allegedly Kang Dynasty is supposed to start production next spring. It could still happen. However, I 1000% expect him to be recast. It sucks because as an actor, he's phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not that hard not to be a shitty human being. So if everything that has come out is indeed true, they need to recast. And guess what? It's not the first time that Marvel's recast anything. Edward Norton as the Hulk, for example.
I question Mark Ruffalo and
Rhodey. I'm here. It's me. Deal with it.
I can't imagine it not being
Cheadle.
him now.
Exactly, Don Cheadle. And that's just a couple of examples. We have so many different examples out there. Mm-hmm. So you know what?
We just cast John
Boyega. Just cast John Boyega as the
new King. Harrison Ford's joining the MCU.
Yes, Harrison Ford is now William Ross, General Ross. And so it's not the first time. It's not the last time. People do all the time. How many different iterations of Batman are there, for example, right? King's
but that's
as well
different.
known as Batman. It is
because they're still in the same universe. I feel like that's different. That's rebooting it. This is recasting. But at first, it was hard to. That first 5 minutes of Ruffalo as Hulk or of Don Cheadle as War Machine was like,
for sure.
And then you fell right into it. And as long as they recast it appropriately, it'll be good. But yeah, it is shitty because I freaking love this guy as King. I loved him.
He could act his ass off. It just sucks
Yeah.
that allegedly, this is all allegedly, of course,
Right.
that he just has some things going on behind the scenes. We'll leave it at that, because again, allegedly nothing. He has a court case in May. More things will come out, and at that time, we'll leave it at that. So
Right. And many times things have been accused that came out to not be true,
exactly.
or they paid
So
people off behind the scenes. You never know.
yeah, yeah. What news do you have though? Do we have
I
anything
hope it's
uplifting
all
coming
bullshit.
on? Do we
He's
have any?
so good as king. First Ezra, now
Also,
this.
Ezra still has a job of marketing them as the Flash pretty hard, which nothing makes
Oh,
sense
I
in this
did see
world.
Jonathan Majors was dropped from the posters.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, and people are saying, are they going to recast? I don't think they should recast Loki. Like that's that's a lot of people worked on that. But I understand not letting him do future. Cut your losses where you
At this
can.
point, Loki's already pretty all filmed and everything is what it
Yeah,
is. So
exactly. If it's already
after Loki,
filmed,
move on.
yeah. Gosh damn it. What's his face from Comics Explained had a really good theory on how he could fix all that and have like the King dynasty, like that end credit scene, like
Yeah.
have it all destroyed and follow him and check out his theory. It was actually really good. Or of how they could move forward. So Disney has a new racing video game called Disney Speedstorm, and it has some park Easter eggs like Figment racing through imagination.
Oh.
So I saw this on Star Wars News. I did not see this on Disney Plus or anything else, but they are saying Mando season 4 should start filming in October. What Mando season 4 will entail and who will be part of it, I have no idea. I can only have hopes, dreams, and wishes. There is a documentary coming out June this year about Kevin Smith's Chasing Amy called Chasing Amy. It's a
Oh.
film by Sav Rogers, and it will premiere at the Tribeca Film Festival. I'm very much so looking forward to this because I really like this movie, and I know that it's very controversial, and they even describe it as Kevin Smith's most controversial movie. I thought it was a little bit ahead of its time, and then it came out as being controversial. So
Right.
I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Me too.
A former guest of ours, Tommy Stella, he has a comic book out called The Days. And if you go to his Instagram, you can actually get a link to a free PDF. And I highly suggest following him. He was recently at the Star Wars convention and he was giving out his comic there and posting a lot of fun content and everything.
Yep.
There is a Big Bang Theory spinoff in the works at HBO Max. I will not say
We don't
Max. I
need
will.
it. We do not need it.
Big Bang was one of those I watched sporadically, never consistently. And
God, I
I
hate
enjoyed
that
the ones
show.
I watched, but it was never something I got into. But can
Right.
you even do that with shows anymore if you only like I don't have TV where I just turn it on. That's why how we ended up
No, you
watching
can't do
Golden
that
Girls this
anymore.
weekend because we didn't have a Fire Stick and it wasn't a smart. Like Lexi turned the TV on and she was like ready to log into something,
God, how
and they didn't have that.
primitive.
They had cable, right? And that's how we ended up watching Golden Girls and Ace Ventura.
It's fair.
So there is a new Muppets coming to Disney Plus. It's going to be an original coming out May 10th called The Muppets Mayhem, and Kevin Smith will actually be in it. So we have
Yay.
two Kevin Smith news today. Carl Urban posted a picture with Jeffrey Dean Morgan, also known as John Winchester or Negan, to announce that The Boys season 4 has wrapped, but there is still no release date. And our last piece of news is Star Trek Picard finale will release in theaters and on IMAX
Oh,
screens.
that's exciting.
And that's all
That's
I
cool.
got.
Right on. Well, let's go in just a second. We will be back in a moment. We're going to talk about The Mandalorian season 3 as it has just wrapped up. So stick around, folks. Grab your Beskar armor, and we'll see you in a second. Welcome back, everybody. Like I said, we're talking about Mandalorian season 3 just wrapped up. And, we had waited a while. This was season 3. A lot of things happened. We're retaking Mandalore, if you will. The season kind of started out with a villain of the week almost like we were used to. However, it quickly shifted when we met back up with Bo Katan. And the theme of the season was the Mandalorian. I don't want to
Dark
say
Saber.
race. It's not.
Oh,
It's not the
I feel
race.
like it was
They're
redemption.
It was
It
it
was
was
a
about
Mandalore
redemption. It was
redemption.
about the people of Mandalore
Yeah.
rediscovering themselves, and retaking their homeworld because they're a
And it
proud
was,
race of people, if you will. Race. I don't really know ethnicity. Uh, that's
well, that's because it's their world.
Yeah, it's their world.
I
So
mean,
like they
they're
are a
they're
proud people.
Mandalorians, like we're Earthlings. But then at
Yeah.
one point they're like, calling Din because you can't really. It's funny hearing him still be called Mando and everything because it's like there's fucking
It
all these
is.
Mandalorians and still calling him Mando. But it's it's yeah, he it would be like us having somebody from Mars, I guess, grow up on Earth.
That's yeah, that's
I
true.
don't know.
So yeah, they're a proud people, and it's all about retaking Mandalore from the Empire's ashes because the Empire wiped them off the face of their planet, and Bo, the rightful heir, or not necessarily Bo, like just finding out the rightful heir of Mandalore and going from there. So it was
Spoilers
overall
ahead.
spoilers ahead. I initially, when we talked about it last, I was very on the fence. There was something missing for me that I couldn't quite place what it was. However, the last two episodes for me personally, it actually became clear. And at the end, I came out really enjoying how the season wrapped up. They finished pretty strong, in my opinion, and I thought they did a really great job. And
Mm-hmm.
those are my initial raw thoughts that they did a great job. So, what is your initial reactions from this season?
I honestly love this entire season. My literal only complaint was at the very end in the last scene because I've heard Mandalorians are allowed to take their helmets off in front of their family. I maybe because I love Pedro Pascal, I wanted him to take his helmet
I,
off at that very end scene
I'm
and just
surprised we
watch.
didn't.
And I do wonder if they didn't because they didn't think that it made sense, or if they didn't because Pedro Pascal was
No,
filming The
he
Last of
was.
Us and
I
couldn't
heard
be
he was
there.
in the armor. I heard he like
Was he?
reports are he
Because
was in
there
the
were
armor.
times where it looked like, because I know there's like three different people, which makes sense, especially with stunt doubles and everything. But there were scenes where I was like, Pedro Pascal's not that short.
Yeah,
Maybe it
and
was in my head,
I think in the finale it was him in the in
but
his armor.
he should have taken his helmet off there
But
and been like
no, because
enjoying
the theme
he
in
should
the
have been
season.
enjoying the thing, the Michael Jordan wine or whatever it
No,
is.
no, because if you remember, his whole thing was about redemption for his view on their religion, right? And his view was that they don't remove their helmets ever.
But if you're allowed, I thought you were allowed to in front of family. I mean, he
Doesn't
has to
matter.
remove it to eat
Yeah, but if he's around nobody, and
or
to
shower.
him,
But being in front of just now, it's legally his son because he adopted
I
Grogu.
that was another thing that was like this whole season they were calling him his son, and then the armor's like he's not actually your son, he's still a foundling, and I'm like, hold on a second.
No, that completely makes sense. Because if you think about it in the context of, like, let's say a foster parent's still going to look at that child and refer to them as their son or their daughter. They're attached to them like it's their own child,
Yeah,
but there
okay, yeah,
still is a legal process to go through. In the Star Wars world, apparently the legal process just is just the armorer saying, okay,
it's
but
true, and yeah, I mean they filed adoption paperwork, so
there
all
you
was
go.
fine.
And the armorer stamped it with her
She was
approval.
like, okay, that's fair, and
But yeah, the whole when Boca's like, my dad did the same thing. That was cute.
it was a journey of redemption though overall, and coming together, which the Mandalorian people did in the end. And it was very interesting because Bo became the rightful heir, and then we have these factions of Mandalore. And it turns out I owe the armor an apology. There were no spies. I thought she was kind
I,
of sus.
I
Turns
thought the
out
natives might have been
I thought
spies.
the natives too. I was like, okay, then maybe the natives, right? They just kind of nobody was a spy. Uh, and I
Which
think it refers to a religious aspect about Moses and leading the people through the desert. I'm not very well versed in this, so somebody smarter than me, please correct us.
I just figured
That's
the spies were the separatists or not the separatists, were just the
no,
upcoming
it
First Order in
refers to
general.
the 12 something with Moses, to my knowledge. I will have to better verse talk about that when I can read up on it more because I don't fully understand it personally. I'm
The
not
12
religious.
tribes of Israel?
Yes, that's what it is.
Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, was it Ben,
Yes,
Naphtali, Gad, and Asher?
that's
Okay.
what I've been hearing. Yes, that
Oh,
is what I've been hearing about the
interesting.
12 tribes, and it's because it makes sense because the Mandalorians are a lost people, just like the Jewish people, Moses, right? And they're looking for
Ah.
their leader to find their way to the quote unquote promised land, which
So is
they
Bo
retake Mandalore.
Moses?
In a sense,
Is the
yeah.
dark saber her staff that turns into a snake?
Yes, yes. And but I
So
have another.
the dark side are the Egyptians? To
Sure,
let
I
my
do have a couple
people go.
theories though. I do have a couple. So in episode 7, we see Moff Gideon's return, right? Moff Gideon's back and he's badder than
He's back.
ever. And it starts out with, it turns out he is the communicating with that, I forget her name all the time. She's
Oh, she's
on
scary.
Coruscant. Yes. and she's the spy
She's
for
one
under
that
the New
tricked the
Republic.
poor Dr. Pershing.
Yes, and so she's communicating with Moff Gideon, who goes to the Shadow Council, and they're talking about Thrawn, and we see Brendel Hux, who is the father to General Hux in the First Order, who is played by Domhnall Gleeson's actual brother in real life, which is amazing.
I
I
love that.
love that, and they're getting the Empire back to the gang's getting back together, if you will. My theory, though, is that Thrawn is this smart, mysterious human, or not human. Chiss is his race, but he's this mysterious, very knowledgeable, very visceral, very
Well, he
cunning.
does like fine art.
Yeah. In in my own head canon is that this council actually fractures. And so Hux and a couple others is what we see the First Order. Because in the sequel trilogy, the whole First Order run, it all lasts very briefly. And so in
Mm-hmm.
my head canon, hopefully we'll see how this plays out, is that the council breaks up. We have their remnants, whatever it is, they take their First Order, they go do their thing, they get defeated, boom. Now, 15 years later, we have Rey rebuilding the council. Hopefully we have Cal Kestis, hopefully we have Ezra Bridger, hopefully we have maybe Grogu, who knows?
He's running Mandalore
Maybe Finn's back, hopefully. Fingers crossed. But like
with,
Ahsoka,
yeah.
even maybe like, okay, Ahsoka might be dead because
Yeah, I
Sean
don't know
pointed out to me her
how they
voice is in
age.
Rise of Skywalker, and all the dead Jedi were voicing, and Ahsoka was one of them. I hope they can hand wave that
Oh
away.
shit.
Yes. So I'm hoping that maybe
Hmm.
Thrawn has been bidding his time 45 years because he's got nothing but time of rebuilding his version of the Empire as the right, there's this.
Well, yeah, we're gonna see more of him in Ahsoka and have a better
Exactly.
idea.
So I'm hoping that they don't waste him in just this aspect and they bring him back for the actual movie trilogy. And maybe he's got something with force sensitive clones that we've seen, which is what Gideon's
Oh my
ultimate goal
gosh.
was.
That was
Because
crazy when he said that. He's like, the one thing I need is force capability. I was like, oh shit, he's
he
got
was,
Jedi envy.
and this has nothing to do with Palpatine, it turns out. He just has his own ego.
Right.
And so I'm cool with that personally. I'm really cool with that. And so maybe this
Yeah.
comes into play with Thrawn as well. And I hope to see Thrawn be the big bad guy of this next trilogy where we see things go crazy. We move on from the Skywalkers a bit. We have Thrawn as a big bad guy. All those that council
And Gideon could
fracture.
still come back. We don't know if that was Gideon who died
God,
or
I'm
if
so
that was a
tired of
clone who
Gideon.
died.
But yes, it turns out Moff
I'm
Gideon is
I'm
cloning himself. So
I've been catching up on Better Call Saul too, so I've gotten a lot of Giancarlo Esposito this week, and I
I'm
am
just
all
tired of like
for it.
Gideon's dead. No, he's back. Oh, he's gone. No, he's back.
Guess who's back?
Give me somebody new
Gideon's back.
as a bad guy. And
But his death, both times, it didn't feel
it was interesting because
final.
Din took a flamethrower like a champ. And so like this light cruiser
He's
that
covered in Beskar.
that's what I'm saying is Axe Woves crashed. Like I'm really glad that they didn't kill Axe because I thought for sure they were gonna do the trope where he crashes the
I
light
did too. And
cruiser.
when he flew it at the end, I was like, "You're right." Like you get the Jurassic Park lady,
Yes,
Laura
yes,
Dern. Yeah, I
yes.
didn't want that.
I was like, oh, that for sure, but they didn't. They didn't do that, which I'm glad. And so I am happy, but
I
I'm also
didn't want. I'm
like,
like, oh, he's going out as a martyr because part of me was like, is he a spy? Because he's kind of a dick.
yeah.
But he couldn't be a spy because if he was a spy, he wouldn't be acting like a
No,
dick.
he's just as a
He's
proud
just
Mandalorian. There's
right.
nothing wrong with that.
They all are. I mean, they even hear it in was it Kanan says it in Rebels. What's with you, Mandalorians?
Exactly. I do think that this they suffer because things happen very fast. I think that if this was a 12 like Andor, a 12 episode series, each
Hmm.
season was 12 episodes, I think you would get things more fleshed out, like the two different factions of Mandalorians and things like that. So I think if they've actually had more episodes, things would make a lot more sense and feel more complete. Because I think that at the end of the day, that's what bothers me is things happen so fast and
Yeah,
unexplained, and we just they it suffers from not enough.
but we're getting more seasons with Mando than we are with Andor.
We are.
Well, and that's now. It's like I hope we did not close the story on Mando and Grogu,
We didn't.
but a lot of people
No way.
are theorizing that they're done and that the Mandalorian season 4 will be about the other Mandalorians.
No, I will tell you, I
I
don't think
don't
that's
want
the
that.
case. No, no, no. They're not going to just disappear Grogu like that. No, I'm sorry. I think what's going to happen is they're going to age him up a little bit as some time has passed because at the end he was like, "Hey, I will under the table go hunt Imperial remnants for the New Republic.
Yeah.
And so I think we're going to pick up. That's where we're going to pick up. And I think we're honestly going to get a spin-off show of Bo-Katan and crew rebuilding Mandalore. I have a feeling that's what's coming.
You know, one of my biggest issues with all this is like, okay, you need four more force sensitive people that go to the light side, right? But you don't let the Jedi reproduce. You don't see the problem there.
Well, I think that's in this new. I think that's going to change. I do. I think that they're going to see the error of their ways. Like Luke alluded to that. Like the Jedi were very stupid, and so he wanted to change them shit. And I think that's one of the things.
But he
And
didn't do a very good job.
I'm not getting
Hell,
into
he didn't even
this.
have any kids. At least Leia had a
I'm not
kid.
getting into this because in
Okay.
the legends he was married and all. I'm not getting into this.
Oh, so that canon's ruined. Got you.
So
I am still enjoying Aftermath. I'm
I
not quite done, but I'm more than halfway done.
I will say though, I hope they age Grogu up because I'm kind of tired of him being this like speechless baby. I hope they age him up a little bit to be able to be more
Pretty
interactive and
badass in this
things. Oh,
episode.
he is. One of the things I loved is he was using the Force to fight him and Mando the way they fought together. I think that was great.
Mm.
I thought that was
Oh,
awesome.
and Bo-Katan with her jetpack, dude. She uses that jetpack like beautifully. The way she like pushes off things and stuff, it's like she's
Oh, it was
swimming.
beautiful. Like the
It's
scenery
so
of
cool.
Mandalorians flying into battle. It was beautiful.
But
And
she
one
just
thing
does it like the jetpack is part of her.
I
It's amazing.
really loved that they left the Mandalorians to fight this battle for themselves.
Mm.
It was amazing, and it was like a pure and pure through and through. They fought back against the Empire, and they what's left of the Empire, anyways, and they retook their homeworld. I loved that.
Yeah,
I do think now the dark saber's gone. I think that Grogu
that was
is
crazy.
going to be the future leader of Mandalore. I think he's going to rebuild his own lightsaber, dark saber. And I think because the Mythosaur awakening and all the Mythosaur stuff, I think that's alluding to my boy Grogu here, uh, stepping into that role at some point. That's something I really feel is going to happen.
Yeah. I did think it was interesting that they focused on the mythosaur at the end because that part I didn't love because I felt like when Bo saw it, it was so subtle that it was like a little bit creepy and eerie and still somewhat mythical. And
Right.
then it's like when you show the monster.
Well, it's
And then
like
when they focused on it, I feel like it took away
the
a little bit.
Mythosaur awoke, which is another allegory or whatever you
But
want to
you
say that word is of
saw it awake
Mandalore
before,
reawake. Yeah, but it opens his eyes, so it's like saying Mandalore's awake again because the Forge
but it
is.
opened its eyes in the last one.
I know, but I think the whole thing, damn it,
Oh,
is a
okay. So they're just focusing on it
I
again. All
think
right.
it's a symbol that Mandalore is back.
So why does the armor have the spikes? Do you think that that was
I think she
literally
was
just
just
like
part of
she
Darth Maul's faction.
was, and then
Yeah.
because she did say that those factions no longer exist, so she was
Yes.
just being truthful.
I think that's what she was a part of. Yeah. I think there was nothing more to that than that's what she was a part of because she said Death Watches no longer exist, all that stuff. So I just think that's who she ran with.
Right. So she's the one that hosted a karaoke thing at MegaCon that we
Oh,
went
that's
into.
awesome.
That I
Yes,
don't
we
know
did.
that we were supposed to go
But
into,
we
but we
did it.
did. I
And
didn't mean to.
I
We
one of the
left.
things
I
I
left
loved
when I realized.
I actually saw a TikTok from the Fan Expo TikTok where she dressed like the armor and she was going around interacting with the crowd
Yeah, I
and nobody
saw
knew it was
that.
her. Like that was pretty cool.
Well, see, I knew her first from Supernatural, but I don't think
Right.
you'll meet her till season 11, maybe.
I got a long way to go. I've really fallen off lately because I just haven't had time. I've
Yeah.
been keeping up with this. I've been keeping up
When
with
you
Ted
were out of
Lasso,
town. Yeah.
and I was out of town.
Well, and you're watching it with Carrie.
yes, and who's been swamped with school, so we haven't had time. And but no, I think overall there was a lot to like about the season. I thought that they ended it very strongly, and it made sense. Now I really can't wait for season 4 because I think we are going to get Mando and Grogu hunting down. I mean, it was cool seeing IG-11 became the marshal. They rebuilt him. Now he's the marshal of Navarro. That was
Yeah.
cool. And there's a lot to like. I know a lot of people are complaining about certain aspects, but
I don't know what some
may
of these people want,
well
though.
we set our expectations up. Like everybody's really upset about the spies factor, and I'm glad nobody was a spy. I'm through and through glad that the Mandalorians just came together. They retook their
Yeah.
from the Beskar armor stormtroopers, which was badass in its own right too, and the Praetorian guards that we got because Praz Vizsla, he went
Uh,
out very heroically and like very
right. And he was
so,
a dick in season 1.
Yeah, he's always been a dick, but like he was a Mandalorian through and through. And one of the best things about this season was how visceral the fights were. It felt like I was watching John Wick at times when they would like shoot under the helmet 7 times. They'd be stabbing and like all it's the fight sequences were fantastic. Like holy
Yeah.
crap, they did an amazing job with the fights.
And like having to go around like those troopers that had the Beskar steel. So I will say one of the things I thought that I don't think that I said on the show was when they were like, oh, there was Beskar steel with, breaking Moff Gideon out. It must be Mandalorian. My first thought was no, it was Paz Vizsla, and he went and killed Gideon because
Oh,
when he's talking with Mando and they're playing with the dark saber and he's being a dick to Mando, he goes, well, that's, he should have died, is what he said about Gideon. And then they showed that in a recap before like the episode where they said that Moff Gideon disappeared and there was Beskar there. So I was like, oh, well, he must have gone
so
and
does
killed
that mean
him.
like his Beskar armor stormtroopers must have broken him out? Then it was no
Yeah.
man. Okay, that's what I thought, but I wasn't really sure because they never clear cut explained that.
Right. But the previously on, I feel like they were trying to make us think that's what happened. But I
Right,
didn't really hear those rumors flying about anywhere other than in my head. But
that makes
but
sense.
now, yeah, I feel bad for his kid.
Yeah,
Maybe Bo will adopt his kid because she was
Auntie
I
Bo.
just want Bo and Din to, bump some helmets and make
Honestly, like
Grogu
I
a big
really
brother.
loved their relationship in this season.
Me too.
I did like the way they came together. Like Bo really respects her, and she respects him. They've come to. That's one thing I'm glad they didn't do is a heel turn of Bo, because I was calling from the beginning. I was like, I don't think she's gonna turn heel, when a lot of
Right.
people were thinking that.
So Ian, no, I never did. I truly and I get a little bit of that because she was a little bit dark to begin with,
My
like
allegiance
in
is to
the
the
cartoons, but she was
Republic.
young and she was easily manipulated in the way
Well,
she was
as we
raised,
all
where
are
her
when we're young.
sister. Right. And her sister was raised to be a leader. So she was raised to be a warrior. So I just felt it was, and you see her switch in the end and she's fighting with Ahsoka. And then she does, start fighting with Obi-Wan. Like you see her switch. I never questioned her loyalty whatsoever. So Ian sent me this gif earlier and it's Anakin and Padme. And it says, boys who flirt. I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating and it gets everywhere.
This
Then it's a
does.
picture of of Din and Bo, and it says, men who flirt. Your song is not yet written. I will serve you until it is.
Ooh, so romantic when you put it that way. So romantic.
Uh,
No, I like this season overall. It sucked. I can't wait till Ahsoka comes out.
oh my God, that's going to be
Really can't wait
insane.
for that. Can't wait for Skeleton Crew. There's a lot to like. Like I know for a lot of complaints about the Star Wars movies never getting off the ground, which hopefully that changes. I love Star Wars. I love it. There's so much to love about Star Wars. There's something for everybody. It's supposed to be campy. It's supposed to be
Yeah.
heart wrenching. It's supposed to. There's just so much to love. There's something for everybody about Star Wars, and I will dive more into this in our Star Wars month because we're actually going to dive into some histories this month or this year. We're going to talk about the Clone Rebellion. We're going to talk about the Siege of Mandalore. We're going to kind of dive into some Old Republic. So we have some cool things lined up for Star Wars month this year.
Maybe do some Rebels
Yeah,
origin for people who don't want to watch the cartoons, but you want to be ready for
it's
for
just
Ahsoka.
man.
If you did not watch Rebels and then you watch the Ahsoka trailer, almost every single person who showed up in the Ahsoka trailer is in Rebels.
Well, yeah, that and then this season also tied a lot of loose ends from Clone Wars and Rebels at the same time.
And it's fixing all sorts of plot holes.
It is,
Same with
and
Bad
there's
Batch.
a lot to like, and so overall, I enjoyed the
And these
season.
movies have spanned over 43 years. No,
There's
46
so
years now.
much
It's
lore to
crazy.
pull from. There's
So
just
crazy.
so much, and that's the beauty of it. So, there's
Mm.
something for everybody. Do you have final thoughts before we wrap up?
I don't. May the force be with you. Yeah, no, I'm excited for Star Wars month. May the
I
4th
can't
is
wait.
2 weeks from today for us.
Wow,
I should be in Galaxy's Edge that day.
I'm running
I'm a
Star
little
Wars
scared
trivia that
it's
night.
oh nice. It might be a bit of a shit show though, because they just reopened annual passes since COVID
I
today.
did see that the lead singer of Yellow Card was trying to get his, and he got his. So
Ah.
yeah,
Oh, is that the guy that runs the Thank the Maker?
William Ryan Key, yes, which we
Ah.
might. We're working on it. We might have them as a guest. We got a couple other guests lined up for Star Wars month. But all in all, we're just a couple of nerds that are going to talk about some Star Wars. I'm going to impart some knowledge on Lauren, and
Yep.
we're gonna have fun. So everybody,
We're gonna
thanks
have
for
fun.
hanging out. As always, don't forget to subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Help us, help you, help us. And may the force be with you. Share.
I've spoken.
This is the way. Cheers, everybody.